my friends, it's Lisa here from arcaneandstellar. This video is brought to you by Steven. Steven went on my wish list and he got me the Earth Alchemy Oracle and the Sacred Forest Oracle. Thank you so much, Steven. We're going to be using the decks in this reading. I have been coveting like this deck so much. I've been wanting it. That and the Woodland Wardens, that one, those two, man. I just love, I don't know, I just really like animal decks actually quite a lot. Especially for the oracles, and oh man, and just this deck is totally up my alley. Thank you, Steven, for thinking of me. And I originally didn't know who sent it because it didn't come with a note. Amazon forgot it, but he had sent me a happy birthday note because it was a late birthday gift. Thank you. And anyway, we have, what do people notice about you? What do they think of you? How are they perceiving you? How are the people in your life perceiving you? I guess we could say. That's what we're going to be looking at today. So we have 4 groups to choose from. Group 1, 2, 3, and 4. So go ahead and choose intuitively. Remember, pick a card readings are meant to be chosen intuitively on your ends. It is up to you to really exercise that intuition. If you get into the reading and you're like, this is not me, take a deep breath, go back to the beginning and maybe repick a different pile because you might find that you're more drawn to a different pile, you know? So anyway, I hope that this reading finds you happy, healthy. Thank you so much for all your love and support and your kindness. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for being here and part of my life. Take care, guys. I'll see you in your reading. Hello, my friends. If you chose group number 1 here with this Sunset Aura Quartz, this is your reading. So let's get the cards out on the table and see what is coming through. How people take you. Let me see. How do people perceive you? What do they notice about you? We have the Hermit here, so I'm guessing some of you are a little bit of a quieter energy. So maybe not so socially active all the time. Maybe you need breaks. Maybe you pull away sometimes. Maybe sometimes you're hard to get a hold of for some of you, where you disappear off the radar for a bit. But the Hermit also, to me, it really mentions to me like an inner spiritual wisdom, a really wise understanding of oneself and of the world around them in some way. There's also perhaps a detachment from the world and of worldly things. So some of you may not be like big on the news or, you know, watching the news or taking part of trends or, you know what I mean? Like maybe you're not really a big follower, you know, in terms of like the scheme of things, you know, where someone does so-and-so haircut, so you're going to do so-and-so haircut. You know what I mean? I think that can definitely be an aspect here. The Knight of Pentacles makes me think that people in general do find you to be well put together. You seem, in the eyes of many, to be a successful person, okay? And so again, we get sort of that beautiful vibe, you know, whether you're, you know, whatever, doesn't matter what your gender is or anything like that. We have a very beautiful kind of aura, very successful type of aura that you give off. You know, my grandmother said something recently, and this is what I want to tell you, kind of the same thing. She was talking about mentioned me in it, but she was talking also about my mom. And my mom's like, can fit in any society, sort of. It's like she could go, like, somehow just dress up and like you'd think she was like really rich or like, I don't know, like sort of this vibe of like she could fit in any class or any system sort of thing. I think a lot of people think you look high class is what I want to say. I know that sounds like such a weird compliment, but it's not even meant to be a compliment. It's just what I'm saying. Okay, but it is a compliment. But you know what I mean? I'm not trying to like just flatter you. The 8 of Cups, of course, can show that people perceive you as on a journey towards yourself, towards your future. So I would think that most people think you're on the right path, that you come into contact. They perceive you as being on a path that's emotionally based. So this could mean that they think that you're passionate about your work, your career, or where you're headed. That may not be for all of you. Maybe for some of you, I mean, you're perceived as someone who's longing for that path, for that true path to open up. Do you hear the birds? Oh my gosh. Okay, so we also have hope, and I love that. A hopeful personality. So perhaps it's like no matter how much, you know, you get down and out, there's still like a very hopeful feeling. And you may provide other people with hope as well. You may be like the type of person to encourage people and they see you as someone who shows like that there's hope in the world, whether it's through a positive comment or, you know, an uplifting sort of vibe. I love the birds. Seriously, they were not making noise earlier. Like, that's the first time I've heard them today. And then suddenly in your reading, just birds, birds, birds. So you may have a beautiful little singing voice for some of you. or a nice way of talking, like sort of melodious way of talking as well. You may people again, a lot of people judge their own voice, but you know, I have comments. I hate my voice, and I'll get comments on here that are like making me blush. I'm like, what, what? And that's what I feel here. We also have courage here with the aspen spirit, and the aspens are so strong. Aspens are very popular where I live, the aspen tree, and it's always been one of my favorites. So, first of all, that the golden leaves, I just feel like you have that yellow aura around you, or like this sort of like golden aura that you're perceived under, like where like a golden girl, golden boy in some way, like people really see you in a high light. But also with courage, I love that. We have vulnerability, self-worth, and feminine healing. And so it's candle quartz and bleeding heart. Vulnerability takes a lot of courage. And for some of you, it may be that you are very courageous enough to share vulnerabilities with other people, because it's easy oftentimes to just shut up and just keep things to ourselves and not be vulnerable. But to be courageous means some sort of level of vulnerability, you know what I mean, that we have to be open to failing or being judged or something along those lines. So I have a good feeling that you've done things that are pretty courageous, like maybe you moved across the country for college, or maybe you moved out of the country, or maybe you did something that was quite brave in their eyes. Maybe you share things on social media that other people don't. Maybe you speak up, you know, louder than others about certain topics, where you just kind of reek this sort of like courageous energy. Not reek kind of sounds bad, okay, but you know what I mean. Yeah, it kind of sounds like more like not good, but yeah. But yeah, and then we have green epidote and star jasmine, restructure, identifying, reframing, and enhancing. And so here's one thing too, is like I do feel like you give a different perspective when people are feeling like they're down, when they are not seeing the point or what's going on. Again, you might have a very good talent for restructuring things, reframing things, trying to make the best of a situation, to enhance a situation. Like if something goes wrong, it's like, okay, well, at least this happened and it wasn't like this, you know, that sort of thing. And then we have Neptune, and Neptune can be such a dreamy like energy. Some of you might have Neptune in the first house, I'm thinking, or in an angular house, or prominent in your chart. But Neptune's it's meant to be about sacrifice and forgiving. So again, you might be having a sacrificial type of nature, but Neptune's also quite vulnerable, artistic, and represents those kind of qualities. So again, some of you might have an artistic type of talent, or this also could be about someone who's kind of hard to pin down as well. And maybe there are times where people are like, man, they seem so, I really get the sense here that some of you have that aura of like the person who's kind of a little bit hard to get to know in a way, and people like are almost intimidated to get to know you on the outside, especially on the outer level. Of course, maybe your inner people don't feel like this, or see this part of you, but I think there's something about you that just kind of exudes this mysterious aura, and that you're not even aware of. Let me see here. But yeah, so much potential here with the Nine of Pentacles. I really feel like, again, people see you in a very high light. And I do think somehow you exude this aura of taking care of yourself, of self-care. Maybe you talk about self-care a lot, or doing things. Maybe you share quotes on social media as an example that kind of, you know, exhibit sort of that behavior. But yeah, let's see what else comes through for you guys. So how are people perceiving group number one? What do they think? Good in a crisis, good in a problem is what I feel. You care about people. We have short illness and good lady. Some of you might work in nursing or in healthcare and actually maybe nurse people back to health in some way, actually. Maybe you've done that in your life for someone, you know, been very giving to someone who was unwell. For some of you, maybe you've been ill recently, or you've helped quite a few people when they were feeling down. Maybe you're also the kind that would give people, like, you know, that you hear that they're sick and you're like, okay, I'm going to go take them soup, and, you know, I'm going to do these things, or I'm going to make them feel better. I'm going to try to cheer them up in whichever way possible. I really do feel like you inspire people in some way. And I know that many of you might roll your eyes at that and think, no way. But I know you do. I know it. the gloomy thoughts too. It's like, I feel like you've had to at least talk to one or two people off a cliff before, okay? Literally, where they were really ready just to give up, and you were able to sort of talk them off of it and say, hey, come back. This isn't so hopeless. Things are not this hopeless. This is just a phase, you know? It's not who you are, or it's not the end. And maybe for some of you as well, that's just something that you've also gone through yourself. Maybe where you've had those times, but you always have bounced back, like in an inspiring way, and they're like, wow, the circumstances that you've been under, it's like, how did you manage, you know, to do that? Anything else here about how group number 1 is perceived? Whoop. Milk and honey. I can't see that card without thinking of Winnie the Pooh. I wish I could find that version from the 90s, but I had this movie, and it was like, there was like these little guys, and they would be like, the land of milk and honey. And every time I see that, that's all I can hear. Oh my gosh, we got loyal heart. So you're the one that shows loyalty, and a lot of people know that you're a loyal person, that you will see them as an equal, that you see everyone as an equal. I really get the sense of a non-judgmental attitude. Like, you guys are not stuffy, and like I said, I feel like you can really fit in any kind of crowd. Like, somehow you've got that sort of meldable personality where it's like you can be around anybody, and just sort of get along and respect them for their age or their status in life, or, you know, any of it. Like, it's just like you're able to really connect. And I feel like a lot of people feel like you're a loyal person. Like, they know that you're not, like the type to gossip behind their back, that sort of thing. We have that land of milk and honey as well, which of course talks about, you know, something ideal, something beautiful, something nurturing, and like a, gosh, what the word I want to use, fortitive. I have words in my head, and I'm like, I don't know how to say that word. Okay, the taste of prosperity, opportunities, born of authenticity, nurturing abundance, trusting that your needs will be met. Yeah, look at that, nurturing abundance, but trusting that your needs will be met. So again, maybe there's a very helpful personality that you kind of exude to other people, where they're like, man, you know, so-and-so really seems to have hope against all odds. And we have that opportunities born of authenticity, and it's like, that's one thing that I'm getting here, is a very authentic personality. And I got that up there, honestly, with the vulnerability and the courage, because like I said, to be authentic is to be vulnerable. You know what I mean? When we are our authentic selves, it's like, even myself, sometimes I'll hesitate from posting certain songs, because I'm like, ooh, if I post this song, then people might think this. And I'm like, even that can be a struggle for me, to be vulnerable in that way, because to me, in music, it's vulnerable. And like, it feels like you guys aren't so, or you're at least not perceived that. You may feel like sometimes you have your vulnerabilities that you don't share, but I'm just saying that people perceive you generally as a very like authentic person who isn't afraid to show who they are. And so again, that might mean that you have something in common about you that you kind of speak up about, like I said. And it doesn't feel like a follower energy at all. Like, I really feel like you guys have an independent kind of vibe. But that is what I'm seeing for those of you that chose group number 1. I hope you enjoyed this reading, and I really, someone is coughing. I hope that you enjoy this reading. I hope it finds you happy and healthy. If you do want to have a personal reading with me, that is all available on my Etsy store, and you can have astrology reports. I do relocation reports if you want to move somewhere or know the best places to move. I've got those. Synastry, if you have a couple, you know, a person on your mind, you're wondering what's the deal between the two of you, we can find that out. I think my daughter's sick, actually. Uh-oh, better go. Lots of love, guys. Take care. Hello, my friends. If you've chosen group number 2, this is going to be your reading. So you've chosen this amethyst pendulum. So here you go. Pretty pendulum. Oh my goodness. Okay. Ugh, cannot talk. Mercury retrograde. How are you guys doing? I hope you're doing well. Let me know in the comments below how you're doing. Are you feeling good? Hopefully this reading is going to bring some insight. So we have got the Owl Spirit, Wisdom. We've got Obsidian and Hellborn. We have got Turquoise and Forget-Me-Nots. We've got Luna. Luna or Luna. Joy. And, oh, we've got the Five of Swords in the reverse. We've got the Death card, and we've got the Ace of Cups. I have to say, are there any people here who have, I feel like there's strong energy here, and I don't normally get this with the death card, by the way, but I do wonder if some of you have like been a death doula or thought about it or spoke about it, or mortician work, or working with people who are dying and maybe in hospice or something like that. I have to feel like there's at least some of you who have been like with people through their darkest moments. I really feel that here, okay? The other thing here that I'm getting, so that's just kind of like a right away message. Sorry if you don't fit that message. I have that owl spirit of wisdom, and to be honestly, wisdom, and I told this to somebody in a personal reading yesterday, but I really feel like this message strongly as well for this group. But it's like wisdom is born of experience, and it's only through experience do we gain wisdom. You know what I mean? That it's wisdom is like, you know, we think of that word and we think of someone older. And again, it doesn't matter what your age is. It's like you've had experiences that have made you maybe older than you are, or somehow you have this sort of innate wisdom within you. But I really feel like a lot of you have probably experienced life a little rough around the edges, perhaps, and it's like you've learned from experience. I feel like a lot of you are seen by the people around you as someone who has a very wise woman kind of vibe, okay? So like, no matter your age group, it could be like you're younger, like, you know what I mean? You could be 17 watching this, 16, 20, 21, you know, whatever, 35, whatever you are. But it's like, you know, even if you feel like you're not there, it's like there are people that look to you and they think that you're full of wisdom. And again, I think a lot of it probably has to do with some experiences now that you've been through. Maybe some of you have had experiences maybe in childhood, because Luna, of course, is the moon. And of course, that can also reflect back to nostalgia, childhood, your mothering, you know, situation, or your younger years. Okay, so we have as well the obsidian and hellborn, which is a shadow mirror, deep healing, understanding, and a seer. And again, I think for a lot of you, you might be seen as quite psychic or as quite intuitive. Maybe for some of you, you just make good predictions. Like, honestly, I've always felt my gift, I don't know, I feel so cocky even saying that, to be honest. But you know, I always felt like, to me, it was just common sense. And I feel like some of you actually are very psychic, but you may think it's common sense. Like, you might just be like, oh, well, that's just like, makes sense. You know what I mean? So I really get that vibe. And I have a feeling that people are like, you've at least had a few experiences where people are like, how did you know that? Or how'd you predict that? What the heck? Are you psychic? And then you'd be like, well, no, I just feel like it's common sense. Or you were thinking that in your head. You know, that sort of thing. We have turquoise and forget-me-not, balance, cracking open, deep healing, and balancing karma. And maybe for some of you, you've had to juggle some karma in your lifetime, or it's felt like a very karmic lifetime, or maybe even one where you feel like you're punished in this life. But what I find beautiful is that despite all of the adversity against you, because I feel like you guys have had to have some pretty dark times, whether it was a gnarly divorce or a bad childhood or a death that was very close to you, or something, you know, like I said, pretty gnarly probably, or something kind of difficult in the eyes of the world. It feels like you've never lost that innocence in some way. Like, there's still, you may feel jaded, but there's still that part of you that finds the joy, that still portrays innocence and sort of like an unjaded view as well. And that might be part of the wisdom, because maybe you have not let some of the experiences harden you completely, understanding that those circumstances that you went through were individual. And maybe, you know, even if you were like hurt in love multiple times, it's like you understand that maybe those were the type of people, as an example, rather than judging a whole, you know, gender as an example, or you know, things like that. But yeah, I definitely get, some of you may be a mother as well with Luna, or be close to your mother. But I think that there's a motherly like quality. Maybe you guys are the type that is seen as like the mother hen in some way. Doesn't matter what your gender is, okay? Like I said, don't worry about that. But I would say that maybe there's like a motherly nature, like, oh, you'll have the tissue in your purse for everyone, or you'll be like, oh, here, let me help you with that, or you know, you kind of swoop in through difficult times. The death card really shows Again, maybe some of you have had near-death experiences as well, or have a near-death experience that you talk about, or maybe some of you are mediums, or we have something like that. But death is really the card of transformation, essentially. And with the deep healing, the cracking open, and the like, because we have like deep healing in two different cards. Like you literally got the two cards that talk about deep healing. No way. And so there's definitely been something there. Maybe some of you are in therapeutical type of work as well, like healing types, whether, you know, in whatever way that may be, or you have a very healing like presence. It's almost like, I feel like you guys exude the vibe of like a little bit of a savior for some people, to be honest. Like, I feel like it's like there's a comfort and nostalgia. The Luna also can show that you have a familiar face. Like, and this may mean that some of you actually, because I've seen this with like Moon, especially in like the 7th house, the 1st house, they'll often get told they look like someone or their family member, like someone's family member. Like they'll be like, oh yeah, you look like my sister. You remind me of my sister. You remind me of so-and-so, or you remind me of so-and-so. And I kind of feel like you have that sort of familiar look. Like somehow you run into a lot of people that will think you look familiar or you feel familiar. And yeah, anyway, very loving and innocent energy here, though. Like I said, despite some sort of difficult situation, it has not hardened you. And that really sticks out to me. We've got court person and a journey. Journey makes me think of somebody maybe who's a traveler or who's been on quite the journey in life. We've got pleasant letter. So I would say that generally people find you to have a pleasant way of communication, essentially. Maybe, you know, you make a good impression on people in that way. Living room can show that there are many people that would trust you with their inner world, is what I'm feeling. Like, I have a good feeling that you're invited into people's lives on a more inner basis. Like, they are more likely to tell you secrets than others. And I think it might be, again, that wisdom and understanding that you have. You know what I mean? Maybe understanding all aspects and facets of life in some way. I really do feel that, though. Like, there's some way that where people feel more prone to give you their personal information. I really feel like, yeah, like spill their guts to you or something like that as well. We also have that living room in Luna. So again, you may be seen as somebody who knows how to take care of the home very well. Like, or you have a nice home, or you decorate it nicely, or you are very family oriented or oriented towards the home. It doesn't have to be your biological family, by the way, but it could be like being more oriented towards the home in general. And then the court person in the journey, well, some of you may work in like some sort of a transport, or like a ship transports docks or something like that. But I think that's very specific, to be honest. Like one or two of you, maybe one. Also, I could see some of you working like an immigration or something to do with travel, like legality or something like that. For others of you, I would say that some of you may be seen as someone who travels or has traveled or is well traveled. We also have the fairness of the court person as well. So seeing you as a very like fair and balanced person, someone who's fair, who has good judgment as well. Really picking that up. Anything final here about how group number 2 is seen by other people, by the people around them? How are they perceived and seen? What do people think? I'm telling you, when people are in a jam and need to make a choice, they're going to come to you. Like, they would actually value your advice a lot, in fact. Like, they feel like you have some sort of higher power. I'm wondering if some of you aren't tarot readers, or like doing some sort of work like that too, or possibly, I don't know, I'm thinking. Yeah, we have higher power and deep knowing. Dude, like, Sorry. Snow City Sarah says I date myself when I say dude and not bro. Oops. Anyway, bro. No, that deep knowing and higher power, like, you have to have some sort of psychic abilities here that people have picked up on, or some very intuitive abilities. There's no stinking way. And if you haven't already, so you're watching that and you're like, no, you will. I promise. I promise they will blossom and you'll start to see it. Okay? No, but really, actually, that fork in the road as well tells me that people feel like you know the answers. Like, again, I think that, like, if someone needs to make a decision, they're going to come to you. You have a lot of people that come to you to help them make choices, good choices. They're going to want and value your advice, okay? Again, the wisdom of the owl. It's like, you've got it. And, again, maybe some of you are associated with owls. I want to say that you guys are also, I love the death card. It has a snake, very transformative energy. Regenerating as well. And maybe for some of you, sometimes you'll have to take time to regenerate a little bit, but you always kind of pop back up fresh as a flower. And but yeah, that is what I'm seeing for those of you that chose group number 2. I really hope that this reading was, I hope you liked it, and I hope that it was insightful as to how people see you. And I want to say also, by the way, some of you may have been quite negative in the past and have changed. There may be some people, maybe you, when you were younger, you were a little bit bitchy or a little bit difficult. I know this is kind of specific, but I feel like if you, it may be that as you've grown up, you're not that person anymore. You've kind of walked away from that kind of behavior, or you've really evolved and grown as a person. Maybe a lot of times people who act like that, maybe more jealous or bitchy, or have some kind of, like, maybe they pick on people a little bit, or maybe a little bit too mean sometimes, or a lot of times that comes from some painful place inside of them. So I feel like for some of you that might be the case, but I would say that generally people perceive you as a much different person than you were in that case, okay? So I wanted to include that really quickly. Sorry. If you want a personal reading with me, that's available through my Etsy store if you want to. I have astrology readings, so I do like relocation readings, synastry, whatever you need. I've been doing astrology for 17 years, and love to help you there. I also do tarot readings, of course, and that's, you know, one of my main gigs. And I love doing it for people. I enjoy it. And so if you want a reading with me, of course you can go on there and get them. I am running a sale. Probably it's the time I'm posting this. Yeah, probably running that sale. And so I'll have 20% off on all astrology readings and bracelets until the end of, until the 20th of May. But anyway, I wanted to kind of do something for retrograde because I know retrograde came and it's like, so sad. But anyway, lots of love to you guys. Hugs and virtual hugs, and take care. See you next time. Hello, my friends. Have you chosen group number 3? Well, then you're in the right place. We've got the smoky quartz here, and we're going to be finding out, how do people see you? What do they think of you? How are they perceiving you? How are you viewed by the Jude? How are you viewed by the what? I don't know why I said that. Other than Mercury retrograde, we have the Raven spirit with truth. Beautiful. Some of you may have raven black hair. I'm thinking. I don't know why I would say that. Well, I know why I would say that, but I wouldn't normally say that because it seems like such a cliche to say with a raven card, but I do feel like some of you do have black hair. Okay, we have got the Knight of Cups, the Four of Swords, and the Queen of Wands. Aquarius, Secret Garden. Some of you may, okay, go listen to the song Secret Garden by Bruce Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen. Oh my. Maybe some of you are getting really hit with this speech. So the Truth card, and me stumbling all over my words, have to say, some of you might be quite truthful, very forthright, maybe sometimes a little bit too much. Maybe sometimes you guys are known to step on your words. If you don't feel like this is resonating, by the way, keep listening and just see. But you may want to go back to the beginning and choose another group if you're feeling like this won't be you. But yeah, truth with the Raven spirit. I think a lot of people know that they can come to you for the truth. If they need to get really good feedback on their outfit, does this look good? You'll be like, yes or no. You know what I mean? You'll tell them straight up what you think. So I don't feel like you kind of, dance around an answer, just trying to be kind. I think that there's an objective side of you that's very truthful, and you may even see it as doing a favor. You know what I mean? Like if I tell them, it looks good, then they're gonna not look good. You know what I mean? I have their best interest at heart. So I don't feel like it's a cruel thing, by the way. I'm not saying you're a bully or anything like that. I think that you just have a good way of going about things too. We have Secret Garden with the Sacred Space and Four of Swords. Some of you might sleep in a lot or be known to be kind of sleepy or something like that. I don't know. I'm kind of picking that up. Maybe your bedroom is like very important to you. Redesigning your bedroom or like having a secure, like kind of like homey location. We have Secret Garden, of course. There may be gardening. Maybe some of you are seen as like kind of having a green thumb. Maybe you have a lot of plants around your home, or you like to look at plants, or maybe like flowers, and so on and so forth. Secret Garden, Sacred Space. Cultivate your space, inner beauty, and self-care. Again, I think that we could see an element of self-care and of confidence. I think that I would say that people think you've got your stuff together, to be honest. With inner beauty as well, I think that there's a lot to you that is very beautiful from the inside. And that's not to say that there isn't an outer beauty. What I mean is that you radiate from the inside to the out. It's like, I really keep seeing, like, honestly, a beautiful smile, where it's like the smile is contagious. There we go. Contagious smile, sort of like where you radiate. And yeah, I really picked that up strongly. You know what I mean? Like, and just like where your eyes sort of just shine when you smile, and it just sort of makes other people feel good. We have the selenite in the willow tree, goddess spiral, rites of passage, dreams, and support. Very beautiful. So we have triple goddess kind of energy there. So again, maybe there are also facets to you. You know what I mean? Even though you speak the truth, there's still like facets to you where you're adaptable, flexible, and different. I feel like a lot of you know how to switch around a little bit and adapt is one thing I'm really feeling. We have inspiration here as well, and you may be very inspiring to a lot of people. Aquarius makes me kind of feel like there could be some sort of social media vibe here, or maybe you guys are out in the public eye, or again, this could be seen as a good people person, or somebody who is with their friends a lot, perhaps, for some of you. I might actually talk a little bit more about that. I want to say the Knight of Cups really is a character who is very sweet, giving, kind, and very imaginative. And so I would say that generally people see you as that kind of character. The Four of Swords, again, I don't feel like there's maybe a bit of a restless energy sometimes. If things are down too much or too boring, you might get a little restless. Some of you might be fidgeters as well. You have that Queen of Wands there. Tell me more. How do people perceive group number 3? Yeah, how do people perceive group number 3? There's something here about the timing. I don't know if you guys are always on time or always late. I think it might be different, but there's something here about timing. Either you're very punctual or you're often late, okay? I don't know which one it is, though. I think it might be different for each of you. Like, I mean, one or the other, essentially. Military person, meetings, and pleasant letter. I think that many of you might be punctual, actually. Or you kind of show up on time, or you're pretty good at follow through. I want to also say military person, meetings, and pleasant letter might also mean that you're really good at keeping up with people's birthdays, reaching out on happy birthdays, and saying, things like that. Sort of like you're always to relied on to say happy birthday. Like they know they'll get a happy birthday message from you, or they know that you'll give them a gift, or that you'll kind of communicate with them. Some of you may also be good about keeping up with people in general, like throwing messages out and kind of keeping up with social contacts and stuff like that as well. I would say that you have a pleasant way of communicating in general, because pleasant letter and meetings makes me think like, I also want to say, and this sounds kind of weird, maybe, but there's almost like, some people, they get on social media and they don't sound like themselves. Sometimes you might get a tone off of them. You're like, are they mad at me or something? Because they kind of like don't they sound like, I don't know, somehow the way that they text seems to come across as like, I don't know, unexpressive or something like that. And so you're like wondering, are they pissed or like what's going on there? They're kind of short. I feel actually like you're very much who you are when you are on social media. Like you'll be like, ha ha ha, ha, or something like that, you know, just like you are in real life. or you know what I mean, like in actuality. Some of you, I don't know though, I really feel like, for some of you though, if you really don't resonate with that, this may also mean that you are a better communicator in reality than online. Maybe you're better at keeping up in touch in person rather than online. Okay, so that may be the opposite for some of you. Ideally, I would say that the military person, maybe some of you are associated with the military in some way, of course, or maybe you came from a strict military type of background or family, you know what I mean, as well. There also could be a lot of self-discipline. But yeah, let's see what else comes through. TikTok. Again, we're at a timing thing. I am wondering if some of you do kind of rush around getting things done at the last minute. I do really feel, though, that many of the people that you know really think of you as somebody who will help them out, like, if needed. Like, that you're there. Some of you with Clean It Up might actually be neat freaks or good at cleaning or organized in some way or seem put together in some way as well. TikTok. Something about hurrying here. I do see. Maybe you guys kind of do things urgently at the last minute, or again, maybe you're always on time or something. I'm really getting that strongly. Okay, and then co-create. Well, this is beautiful because this is about creating experiences, I think, from the wisdom and instinct of us. Partially, that's what I get. Again, you might be someone that people like doing things with or collaborating with. Again, you might be someone who's a good collaborator. Or they want to collaborate with. They want to do things with, is what I feel. Thinking if I want to grab another deck, but I do feel like there's a very inspiring kind of vibe here, though, that maybe you're often inspired, and you kind of, maybe you post when you're inspired, or like, do you know what I mean? Like, you'll post on social media when you're inspired, it strikes you. I kind of do that sometimes. I'll like be listening to music, and then I'll be like, oh my god, I gotta post about this song and the astrology behind it. You know what I mean? Like an inspiration, like poof. And again, maybe that's also like, some of you might find that you get quite obsessive about certain topics or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, you're feeling very inspired. You like will not stop talking about it. You're like obsessed. You got to have it now. You got to get it now. You got to, you know what I mean? You take in all that information. With the house and Hope Big Water, first of all, house makes me think of, again, with the Four Swords, maybe again you spend some time at home, or sometimes you just need a break or a rest from the world. Maybe you give a lot back to community or to other people, and so sometimes you need to hibernate a little bit. Hope Big Water, though, to me shows a very hopeful person, like somebody who provides hope to other people or offers something in the way of that. This also could be someone who has grand dreams as well, I think. So those are kind of the qualities that I'm picking up. I would say you really do come across as like very competent. And especially in terms of making things, creating things, there's a very creative nature. Some of you might have some fire in your chart or strong fire placement, but we also have water here or air. Again, I don't want to focus too much on the signs of the cards, but I would say that I like the balance of water and fire. You get a lot of emotions with both of them. but knowing when to kind of take a break. Some of you might overwork a little bit too much, I think. and maybe sometimes overgive too enthusiastically, but I think maybe some of you have worked to improve that. But that is what I'm seeing for those of you that chose group number 3. I really hope that you liked the reading, that it was informative and insightful. If you do want a personal reading with me, of course, I'd love to do one. I do those over on Etsy, and I have also astrology readings and tarot readings. So tarot readings, you know, like I said, I've updated everything recently, but I've been doing tarot for like 20 years now. So I've been reading the tarot, and so I have quite a lot. And then 17 years with astrology, that's when I first started to really study astrology. Of course, I knew about astrology before that, but like when I really started to like dig into it and learn it, and starting, you know, to take courses and stuff like that, that's been for about 17 years. So I'd love to help you guys out if you're wanting to know anything about it. We have relocation stuff, we have synastry, natal chart readings, predictive kind of readings as well. I think I'll probably add solar returns, but I haven't yet. But yeah, I mean, I often update things. And anyway, I hope that this reading finds you well. And like I said, healthy, happy. And I hope that you subscribe and stick around for more content. But I wish you the very best, okay? Take care. Bye-bye. Hello, my friends. So if you've chosen group number 4, the last group here, let's find out. So how do people perceive you around yourself? How are they perceiving you? What do they think of you? Generally, you know, people around you in your life, the people that you meet. Well, first of all, you've chosen the sacral chakra gemstone, which, thank you, Stephen. He got me this set. But let's see here what we've got. So the sacral chakra in general, and it's funny because I just, you know, intuitively grabbed that. I mean, this could really mean that people do see you in that sort of light, essentially embodying discovery and exploration in the world, in being open to emotion, pleasure, connection, intimacy. I mean, for some of you, of course, that might mean that there are blockages there to intimacy. But we'll see here. We'll see. We have maple spirit generosity with number 23. We have got pixie helpers and green aventurine. Not all wanderers are lost. Clearing the way, luck and opportunity. We have got pearl and larimar. Surrender, release patterns and triggers, Pleiades. Pisces. Beauty. Okay, so I have a good feeling a lot of you are sexy, actually. Like, to be honest, I feel like a lot of you are actually come off as quite like good looking. And I get this, I'm not saying that the other groups weren't, but this seems to be like you exuding some sort of sensuality to other people, or you have this sort of aura. And gosh, I almost want to say, and I know some of you might disagree with me, I know there will be a few of you that may not see how other people see you, but this is like exuding, like, you know, some people are cute, and then some people are pretty, and then some people are beautiful, and some people are hot. And kind of feeling like some of you are pretty hot, like the hot kind of person, to be honest. Like, or you have this sort of really beautiful, I think beautiful as well is a good word, but I want to say that physically you're attractive, okay? And to pretty much everyone you meet, people see you that way, sort of as a very like, wow, you know, like magnetic in that way, very beautiful, ethereal. And Pisces, of course, can be very beautiful as well. And this can give you very expressive eyes, actually. Pisces are known to have expressive, beautiful, kind of deep eyes. And so I'm guessing a lot of you have quite beautiful features and beautiful eyes. This also can show, Pisces can show actually like a sort of a, well, there's a mutable nature, right, to Pisces, but there's also, again, I'm getting the birds again. This was in group number 1 as well. That's so weird. The birds are starting to speak up. I think a lot of you have a beautiful voice, actually. Melodious, beautiful voice. Something cheerful. I don't know, birds just cheer me up when I hear them. I think like, oh, so cute. And so maybe some of you have the cutesy thing too. But yeah, I would say actually, yeah. So yeah. So anyway, I said yeah like 50 times. I'm sorry. You can call me out in the comments. No, we have, though, surrender and Pisces. And this is interesting because I feel like a lot of you actually let things go really easily. So what I mean by that is like you won't hold grudges. I feel like so easily. Like you're a pretty forgiving person, or known to be forgiving. So there might be circumstances that people have seen you in where maybe someone was rude to you and you're like, I'll forgive them. I'll give them another chance or something like that. You know what I mean? For some of you, of course, they might see us a little bit too sacrificial, a little too forgiving, depending. It's so interesting because it says not all wanderers are lost. And Pisces, again, can have sort of flexibility in their life. It's not necessarily a steady rhythm. So I have a good feeling a lot of you have not stayed consistent in your life. Like, okay, what I mean by, I don't mean that in a bad way. What I mean is that maybe not always the same career path. Maybe you've switched things around in your life. You kind of like, at times, wander a little bit with what you're doing. Some of you may have strong Pisces placement. Maybe you have like a Pisces house, like 7th house or angular house, 4th, 7th, 1st, or 10th as well. A lot of people like that have Pisces in the 10th house can also find that they change careers or they have different dreams. And there's a very dreamy nature to Pisces though. And very, like I said, sacrificial and forgiving and kind. Those are like generous as well. Pisces is opposite. Virgo's the helper. That's like the medical worker, the doctor, the one who brings the practical help, right? And then Pisces is sort of like the one that gives the emotional help. And so I think you have a really healing emotional presence around people is what I feel. But again, clearing the way, luck and opportunity. Some of you might be seen as quite lucky. You don't forget, Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces. And so I use traditional rulers. That's just my style. I'm more of a traditional astrologer, but I mean, I don't discount modern associations, but I am more likely, and that's funny because Jupiter is that, planet of luck. Do you hear that little squeaking? I wonder if you guys have saved animals before, or you guys are the type to save an animal, or like if you saw a stray cat, you'd like pick it up or feed it or do something with it. That came to me when I heard it almost sounded like it was crying for help, and it's like, oh, caught my attention. So I'm wondering if that's like, you're the type of person, if you think someone needs help, you're like, Superman. Not Superman, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to help them. I think you have a lot of compassion, and you're seen that way as well. Very generous type of personality. Like I said, with generosity here in the Maple Spirit. Some of you may have dealt with a bit of because of that sacral chakra, some of you may have some traumas inside of you that you've dealt with, that some people have seen you work through as well. I want to say some of you might be quite sensitive and actually easily triggered, okay? I'm just going to say it. Some people might view you as kind of a sensitive person, like, oh, okay, I don't want to step on her toes, or his toes, you know what I mean? Like, they might be a little bit, maybe you're a very sensitive person, and they know that, and they don't want to hurt you. I kind of picked that up here. Delicate, I get delicate. Delicate, that's what I feel, that word. We have the Page of Pentacles, the Two of Pentacles, and the Ace of Wands. Sorry, I had to look and double check because sometimes these, the way that they shimmer, I can't see it. Energetic, funny, playful, but responsible, studious, loyal. These are words that are coming to my mind right now when it comes to how people kind of would describe you if they had to. The Page of Pentacles, I think you're the person that they would want to help them out with something if they needed help, especially in practical ways. I think a lot of you put in physical effort into something. Some of you may be quite keen on exercise or taking care of yourself. That's not going to be for all of you though. For others of you though, I do see you doing something. Some of you may be learning something new as well and practicing. Maybe you started something new in your life, like a new type of practice, a hobby, or something along those lines. Hold on, I'm going to grab these cards over here. Bring them over because I'm going to be using them. But I do get very playful energy here. And even with that, gosh, even with the dolphins, laughing, beautiful. Pixies, there's pixies here. And fairies, and I don't know if some of you are smaller or something like that, maybe shorter or petite in some way. I'm not talking about just talking about the height aspect, or you seem that way to people, or you seem very tall, ethereal, there's something, either You're very like taller than average or shorter than average is what I feel. Or you look like it. And with Pleiades, of course, some of you might be like, you know, really into starseeds and stuff like that. So we have that as well. People see so much beauty in you, though. Like you're a treasure. Look at that. There's like a pearl, yeah, in that card. There's like also, to me, this shows like a development, like sort of like, some of you could have late bloomer qualities as well in life. And what I mean by that is like, maybe you've bloomed later in life in some aspect. Maybe you took longer to get somewhere in life, like maybe in terms of like career or something like that, or other aspects of your life. Like maybe there was like a late bloomer, like, or maybe like it's like the kid who's kind of like maybe not the cutest kid or whatever, but then it's like they grow up into someone really beautiful. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. I'm kind of getting that type of vibe. Or again, maybe you were a really directionalist for a very long time, and then it's like you found your stride. Or late bloomer qualities, but blooming like no tomorrow. or they feel like they will. Maybe if you're younger and you haven't quite had that, people expect you to bloom. Okay, we've got peace, clean it up, and co-create. I kind of talked a bit about like people having you organize things, decorate things, do things, advice, cleaning, like this type of stuff. It really comes to me. Like, you know what you're doing. You know how to set things up perhaps as well. There's also a peaceful aura. I don't feel like you give people vibes of like recklessness, or especially right now. If you have in the past, that could be a different story, but I feel like at the moment there's something that reeks inner peace. I keep using the word reeks, and I'm like, isn't reeks kind of like a rude way to say smell? Sorry. But yeah, it's like you exude this sort of aura of peace, of fulfilledness, and clean it up. Sorry. Some of you might have cleaned up your life quite a bit as well, you know, in general. Or are in the process of doing so, or are good at helping other people clean up their life, or in some way organize. I really, like I said at the beginning though, I really do feel like people would want to ask you for help or advice, especially with practical matters as well. So maybe you're a good fixer or a good logical thinker, as well as being an imaginative thinker. I think that you guys have a good both of it's good. Like strong for both qualities. Whoopsie. I'm not taking that one. I know someone will bitch at me and say, take all the cards that fall, but I don't want that card. I know it. It's my intuition that I'm using right now. But maybe military for some of you, if you want to hang on to that card. But I just don't feel like for the majority of you that's needed. Anyway, we have 36, 33, 10. Do we have like 23, 21, 40, 23? Interesting. Lots of threes, huh? Again, I have a good feeling that some of you must have gone through something that would talk about like really creating more hope in your life. Perhaps at one point you were quite depressed, but you're in a more hopeful spirit, or maybe you've helped other people through those situations in your life. A journey makes me think of travel. Maybe you guys are living somewhere far away from where you're from. Maybe you guys like to travel, or are seen as a bit of a traveler in some way. Some of you might have been seen as someone who sort of escapes certain problems in their life by moving. Like maybe you're happier somewhere else than your homeland or your home place. Maybe you're always dreaming to get away, for some of you, from where you live. Like go somewhere else, get far away. Maybe some of you are like seen as someone who's like, I'm moving to so-and-so place in the future, or I want to go here, I want to go there. A little bit different than the other cards in terms of the journey. Anything else here for group number 4 in terms of how people see them? They're very beautiful. Uranus. Nice. So Uranus can really talk about someone who hard to predict. Uranus is very hard to predict. So you may be in some ways unpredictable to people. And that's kind of the thing too. I almost wonder if sometimes you come off like on first glance, you seem like pretty traditional. And then they get to know you and you're like, oh, wow, okay, she's not like that. Or he's not like that. You know, like for me, I have a tattoo, right? And like I've met so many people in real life, and like my tattoo is kind of not hidden. It's hidden. I mean, it's hidden so that people don't usually see it. And then they'd be like, I know people for like a year, and then suddenly they'd find out I have a tattoo, and they'd be like, I never would have guessed you had a tattoo. And I'm like, full of surprises. You know what I mean? Like, I think that could be an aspect. Like somehow it's like maybe you have a good person, there's something about you that's just different. Like, and again, you might have a very eclectic, strange way of thinking, like offbeat, off the wall, something different, something unusual. You may have unorthodox views of life and of society as well. But I really pick up that some people, it's like once you get to know you, because Pisces can be kind of mysterious sometimes, actually. They're not all like, and I think that's one, I see this stupid shit go around like the communities on like Instagram and stuff like that, and they'll be like, oh, Pisces such crybabies and stuff like that, and I'm like, actually no, I've seen a lot of Pisces alcoholics, but I don't know, it seems like all my guy friends that are Pisces drink a lot, but no, really, actually they're not. They are softies, but not usually on the first like thing. Oftentimes they're hard to read a little bit, like you're like, what's going on with them? But I'm not saying that you're a Pisces. I'm just saying the quality. But yeah, it's actually like you're quite like different, innovative, imaginative. I really get. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing for those of you that chose group number 4. I really hope that this reading was fun and interesting. I wish you the very, very best in life and for the rest of the day or night, wherever you are. I hope that you have good health and happiness. Thank you so much for being here. If you want a personal reading with me, all of that is available on my Etsy store. I do offer personal tarot readings, and I also have astrology readings too. I've been doing astrology for 17 years and tarot for about 20. I've been reading tarot, and so I'd love to read for you and help you out if you need it. Or again, if you want to understand yourself astrologically or understand a relationship through a synastry report, or even if you want to know who your future spouse is or the qualities of a future like lifelong partner, I can give you that information. I do a lot of different stuff. So just check out my Etsy store if you're interested, and I wish you the very, very best. Take care, guys, and be well. Bye-bye.